Aloha, friends and neighbors. Rollin Frost here. Still got my laryngitis. Sorry for my voice. Anyway, we're going to go after the third week in August 2017. A year that portends great changes. Yes. Now, I'm hoping that a lot of these changes are going to be for the better. Sometimes it happens like that. We shall see, because we're coming upon that time. The study of time. That's what the Venerable Rinpoche said to me. When I was very young, I had a very rich client in Honolulu who came in her new Mercedes once and picked me up and said, "Come, I have an appointment for you." She took me to Kailua, to a nice house, and in the backyard went in, and there were these guys in these robes and a man with a bald head, and they ushered me in to see this old fellow who had a bald head and a funny bump like a goose egg on the top of his head. And he said, he asked me who I was, and I said, "Well, I'm an astrologer." And the old guy translated through a monk, said, "Ah, the study of time." He said, "Do you have a question for me, my son?" I said, it translated, and I said back, I couldn't think. I was a little shocking in the whole thing. I said, "How do I become a better astrologer?" And he went back, and the old man translated back to me and said, "Look inside, look outside, look at the chart. Look inside, look outside, look at the chart." Wow. Got up and left. Just a few sentences have stayed with me for almost 40 years. Turned out that was the original Rinpoche. Yes, the Tibetans are one of the very best at astrology. Look inside, look outside, look at the chart. So, we're going to look at the chart here for a little bit. And we're going to check out this August 11th to August 20th. Maybe the last calm week you'll have for a while. Yeah, Mercury goes retrograde. Twice a year it does so for about 3 weeks. And during that time, you could think of Mercury kind of like the delivery guy. His job was to take messages and carry things between the gods with the wings on his helmet. So when he goes backwards, that means sometimes the things that you do in short trips, communications, letters, phone calls, things of that, communication and transportation things, often are done twice, because as Mercury stops and he goes retrograde on Sunday, he's going backwards. So he moved up here, stopped. Now he's going backwards. And he'll go back and stop and go forward 3 weeks later. So this ground that he covered here, when he stops, he's going to come back and cover it again over here. So half of the trips, the short trips you do, the communications. Sometimes when I leave the house, when the 3-week period is going on, I'll go out on the porch, get ready to go, and then I'll go back in the house and go shishi and come back. I've left twice. That way I can fox Mercury. He likes to do them twice. Sometimes I'll make a telephone call, and I'll let it ring once, hang up quick, punch redial. That way I've called twice. Anyway, what you'll see in popular culture is don't sign important papers. The positive of this is, let's say you're a salesman, and you're going around and contacting people. Good chance you'll have to come back again. Aha! Possible sales, huh? So you can use Mercury retrograde positively. It's good for cleaning out your purse, your desk, your old drawers, your wallet. Go back and finish things you started. So, not bad. Anyway, Sunday, it goes retrograde. On the 13th for 3 weeks. We also have an eclipse coming up, of course, the big one in the U.S. at 29 Leo. More on that later. Happens Monday morning, August 21st. Yeah, Mercury's going retrograde and opposing Neptune. So this eclipse is seen. It's a full, total solar eclipse. Eclipse of the moon, a full eclipse of the moon, important mothers die. A full eclipse of the sun, important fathers die. Eclipses snuff out the lights. They kill things. So you could use an eclipse positively to get rid of something. Suppose you want to quit smoking. Well, on the day of the eclipse, quit. Just one day at a time. You may be surprised. You want to get rid of the weeds in your yard? Yeah, go out and pick a few weeds on the eclipse. They probably won't come back. The other thing of some import here is that Saturn is stationing. It's stopping on August 25th. And wow, that really brings a new light to this time period. One that's a little scary. Time to retrench. Some things you've been thinking about for 7-8 months, when Saturn comes back to the same, he's come back and he's on the rear. It's like Mercury now, bang, you can do some important writing after Mercury goes direct because he's not coming back there again. Well, this is Saturn too. He likes to pour cement on things. Makes things permanent. Laws, So pouring the cement on your solidifying is a better. Crystallizing is what Saturn does. So if you've been thinking about something for 7-8 months, you'll find yourself going back to it again when Saturn stops on the 25th or shortly thereafter. Maybe you're about to solidify it and crystallize it and do the thing finally. Start on pouring the cement. All right, let's take a look at it day by day. Let's see how it looks. Here's a sky mirror. It's a mirror now. It's not supposed to cause things. By the way, we've got a comet coming in, and more on that a little bit too. Wow, what a month. Anyway, the sky mirror kind of gives us an idea of how it's going for us personally. How it is day by day. It's a planning tool. Think of it like the weather report. If you're going to, ask somebody important out on a date, you want to do it when Venus is real strong, not when she's having trouble. Or maybe there's a lot of things. It's like, if you got a weather report that says tomorrow's going to be a big rainstorm, you take that into consideration. If you're going out to the picnic place, take the umbrella. If you ignore the weather report and go to the picnic place, it might be a little different for you. So this is like the weather report, okay? And it tells us what's going on inside us and what's going on outside us at the time. Short planning. What's going on here? Well, Venus is opposing Pluto a few days from where you are. There's some crisis in the love life. Mercury is opposing Neptune. When Mercury stops, there's going to be floods and water problems and things get lost. And Mercury stopping here, it's like Mercury went out and got drunk. And he's all confused. So you may find it hard to speak and think and talk during this period. There are some good things going on. Here's the sun. It's sextiling Jupiter and trining Saturn. So something's going on kind of smooth with the lawyers and the judges, with the liberals and the conservatives. These are the government guys. And Mars is coming along there to trine it. So the generals are loose. There's generals, there's politicians, there's judges and people in office. And all of these guys are kind of in cahoots and going to try to do something here. Not sure it's good, not in the era of Trump, but we're stuck with it for a little while anyway. Let's look at it day by day. We're going to run the moon around the edge of this planetary pattern, and as it makes angles to the planets, it generates the mood of the times. Yeah, what's going on inside you and what's going on outside you. If you're in a Thursday show, the moon just went into Aries, and everything kind of heated up a little bit, got a little more energy. Last few days, you were in Neptune land, Pisces. But Aries has a lot of energy. And on Friday, August 11th, the moon starts off with the square to Venus. And we want some pleasure and fun, and the girls are out. But there seems to be some problems here. Wait a minute, here's Mars. It's not too good for Venus, but Mars, the hero, is out. Now this is all happening Friday night, which is Vendredi in French, Venus. Venus's day is Friday. So here's Venus, and she's starting it off here between lunch and dinner with some worries. Maybe she's crying, or maybe she's having trouble. And here comes Mars to try to help just after an hour or so. The hero pops up. Here's Romeo to help Juliet. But along comes Pluto, the policeman. Now we're talking midnight or so Friday night. And there's sirens, and there's cops, and there's people get radical. It's either full on this way or full on that way. That's Pluto. So there's some crisis here Friday night. Saturday morning, the moon's still in Aries, and it makes an opposition to Jupiter, which generally means too much rain, and people trying to do too much, laughing too much, party too much. The good news is the sun's in trine, so there'll be father figures around that say, hey, wait a minute, stop all that clowning around. Saturday morning, people trying to sleep. They had a tough Friday. So, yeah, the moon goes into Taurus. Well, let's see, before it leaves Aries, Saturday night, it's going to go by Uranus. And here's that feeling of aloneness, some shaking. Here's some common sense. Uranus has a very good side to it, produces brotherhood and common sense, and your higher mind is on alert as the moon goes by Uranus. Now, Uranus just stopped back on August 3rd, so it's very active here. Very active. We could get more hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes. All of these things are the things that come up kind of suddenly, and they take away your electrical power in Hawaii, whatever the problems are. So far I've seen both stormy conditions and quakes. But here it is, so you're going to start feeling it Saturday and into Sunday morning. The moon slips into Taurus when you get up Sunday morning, and the vibes tend to change. It gets more practical and earthy. It's a fixed earth sign. We're all more stubborn. Here's a trine to Mercury. You can get out and do some delivery. You might think a little better. There's a sextile to Neptune. There could be some inspired thinking. There could be some music, some poetry. Yeah. Of course, this is the day that Mercury stations and stops and goes retrograde on Sunday. Yeah, so hopefully you write your poetry and stuff, early in your music. And this is a very important place. When Mercury stops, anything he deals with becomes very large. So, gosh, this is an important time for writing, teaching, talking, communicating, and doing so with a great deal of compassion and sensitivity due to Neptune. Artisticness, too. Felt pretty good Sunday night, yeah? And then early Monday morning, here's a square to Mars. People get up and they're angry, and there's some emergency feeling Monday morning, the 14th. And you can't get much done, especially noteworthy, in the afternoon when the moon squares the sun. I got all angsty Monday morning. I wanted to go do stuff, but I couldn't. I was frustrated on Monday. Yeah, Tuesday, the 15th, the moon goes into Gemini. And when it does, all the vibes change again. Now it gets to be a little more serious. Tuesday morning you can coast. There's not a lot of big angles to anything here. But here's Mercury raising a fuss. This is after dinner, and it's hard to talk, and you're losing things. You know, the keys are one of the things that comes up when Mercury goes retrograde. I can't find my keys. So if you want to get ahead of this, make sure you have extra keys for your car or for important things, and you know where those extra keys are. Because Mercury comes along like a 7-year-old, and he'll grab your keys or your remote control or something, you know, and hide it from you. And he usually returns it later on, 3 weeks later when Mercury goes forward. But a lot of people will lock their keys in the car here Tuesday night, and there'll be confusion. Hope you got one of those old wire coat hangers. Those work good to open up a car that's locked. And you might get some honest helpers here Wednesday morning. The moon trines Jupiter after breakfast, and there's some, you know, now I see it clearly kind of stuff. But it's a brief respite from a difficult period, because here the moon is going to oppose Saturn at 21 degrees. That's right here. And we're feeling closed in, and Saturn's getting stronger. It stops on the 25th, so we're only 9 days off it. And so the restrictions and the rules and the regulations and the politicians, you know, ugh, what's going on here? Here's the sun. We got a nice sextile to the sun Wednesday night after dinner. So we start getting the plan together, and we're making some progress. And we had to use our mind powers. Uranus is the higher mind, and there he is. Here's a sextile to Uranus Thursday morning. Check the internet, check your communications, check the telepathy, what's inside your head. There's a universal mind that's connected to everybody else. So there is some brotherhood here, Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Got to help each other. In la catch, the Mayans say, I am another you. There's a lot of truth in that. We're the same. We're all like a piece of the Great Spirit locked into different charts while we're in the flesh. Heavy philosophy, huh? So, moon in Cancer Thursday, August 17th, you know, after breakfast. And here's good stuff with Mercury. Nice sextile. You can try to get some of that delivery and communication going. It's gone retrograde now 4 days earlier, so you got to do them twice if you want to be sure. And here's Neptune, a trine to Neptune. Music, art, sensitivity, refinement, compassion. In la catch, I am another you. That leads to a lot of compassion. Can't beat the Tibetan Buddhists, you know. That brief audience I had with Rinpoche, I don't know what the rich lady donated, but wow. Just a few sentences for me lasted, 40 years. Still strong in my head. The power of an enlightened being, that's what that is. He is an enlightened being. When we got out to the car, the translator was still there in his robe, and I asked him, geez, the old man had this big bump on his head. You know, it's like half of a chicken egg sticking out of his head. Does he have brain cancer or something? And the translating Buddhist monk said, no, that's called the Buddha's bump. It happens when you're enlightened. Wow. What an audience I had with such a man. Okay, Friday, moon still in Cancer. It's August 18th. Moon going by Venus later in the day. In the middle of the day, we've got squares to Jupiter, oppositions to Pluto, and yeah. So this is a difficult time, the moon in 20 degrees of the cardinal signs. Pluto and Jupiter, this isn't Saturn, this is Pluto, excuse me. Anyway, sense of panic, overdoing it. We wanted to have fun, but, the storm moved in or something Friday. So Friday, Saturdays tend to be when all the action happens. It's been like that for a while, huh? So this Friday starts wonderfully. There's music in the morning. The vibes of Venus are there. She's gotten out of her crisis in opposition to Pluto a few days earlier. But I'd still keep my daughter home on Friday the 18th, just like I would have done on the 11th. Keep him out of trouble. Stay home Friday. It's not a time for fun. Venus is not doing well. No. And in the morning of Saturday, you wake up, the moon's still in Cancer. And here, just around breakfast, here's the square to Uranus. And it gets shaky, and it gets twirly, and we could have problems with batteries. And well, I tell you, I woke up the other morning when they had the earthquake, and Uranus is being set off for the first week in Hawaii. And the remote control didn't work, no, in my bedroom. So I finally went out and got some batteries out of the box. And the box batteries were dead. So I took the batteries out of the remote control for the living room TV. And I got the bedroom TV to work. Then I went out later and tried to use the living room, put the batteries back in that remote. Didn't work. Turns out if you take the batteries out, in 2 minutes it throws out the old program, and I had to go back and find the codes and reprogram. That is Uranus battery stuff. That was the morning we had the earthquake. I was back on the first week of this tumultuous month. That was the end of July. So let's see, where are I? I'm still thinking about all my battery problems there. You're sure to have some on Saturday morning, so it's always in the connections, by the way, if you have trouble with electrics. The moon in Leo, well, you're headed towards the eclipse on the 21st. Very important eclipse. Yes, don't look at it. Don't tell your friends, don't look at it. All the ancient societies who were much better at astrology than we are, they would say, don't look, sleep through it. Don't look at it. They're evil things. And I've seen that in my life, what eclipses can do. And historically, real astrologers, we got a lot of phony astrologers now in the USA, I got to tell you. And they don't know much about this. But the ancients did, and they didn't mess around with eclipses. No, and there's a comet in the sky, too. So as you go towards this eclipse, which happens early Monday morning, the 21st, if you can take the day off, sleep late, if you're in the mainland, don't go look at the eclipse. It'll affect your health more if you see it and look at it. You're better off to sleep through it. The Chinese are real experts at this, and that's what they recommend, the old Chinese astrologers. So I'm aghast when I look at the news. All these astronomers say, oh, yeah, it's great. Everybody go look. And people are flocking to the central path. Man, astronomers don't know diddly about the effects of an eclipse on the Earth. In fact, they're some of the worst. They denigrate astrology like it's superstition. And so, look out, don't take the advice of an astronomer about something that's going on up there. They're just grabbing the headlines, as usual. That's what they do. We discovered a planet revolving around a sun or 1,800 light years from here in the other galaxy. Wonderful, wonderful. Pay us more. Build more huge, expensive telescopes. Yuck. I'm sorry, that's the way I feel. And this eclipse, is going to bring that out. It trines Uranus. Phony sciences. How many scientists are there that are climate deniers? Take away their license. Take down their names. Later on, they're going to be disciplined. Bad scientists. Bad scientists. Benjamin Franklin went after bad scientists in his Poor Richard's Almanac about the fall of astrology. And he named 3. Halley, who discovered comets and was just an astronomer, denied astrology, didn't know anything about it. Newton also had the seat of science in the British Academy, and he didn't defend astrology like he should have, even though he practiced alchemy and astrology in private. And Whiston, more on that in a minute. Whiston was another guy, got the British astronomer, denied astrology in the British seat of science. These 3 guys had a lot to do with the downfall of astrology at that time. Bad scientists. Bad scientists. Well, you'll find out. So there's a comet. A comet is coming into our solar system. And they named it 2007-1 ASAN-SN. And some people objected. You can't name it that because that's the word assassin. Yeah. Anyway, comets are generally bad guys. They bring nasty stuff in on us. This one could very well be like that. So we got an eclipse, a comet, a Saturn station. Wow, the stage is set for some difficult times. So I wish I could tell you what the eclipse is all about, but modern astrologers don't study them. And comets, oh boy, you got to go into history, where they had some really good astrologers, and they had the time, and they kept the records. I found the chart of Kamehameha the Great by discovering a one-day comet on his birth. According to Chinese astrologers, they kept really good records, and there was a comet. Kamehameha was born. So comets can bring good stuff in. I don't know about this comet, though. As it comes into our solar system, it's going to go through a couple of signs. It goes through Perseus, where Algol is, and then it goes through Taurus,